The voice of sharing. Durian ASEAN.
Hey, this is Arlene.
This is Jolene.
And of course, you're still with us at Durian ASEAN with Dinesh Selvamurthy, founder and business developer of Reneon Technologies, focusing on green technology in Malaysia, as well as perhaps in Southeast Asia. So, Dinesh, earlier on in part 2, we discussed on the energy outlook in Southeast Asia. And of course, the energy consumption will increase, especially by 2040. So, the supply side seems like it's not able to keep up with the demand, or at least that's the impression that we are now sort of seeing.
Right.
Yeah. So, but how do you see this?
Right. Well, to be honest, we do have enough installed capacity to supply for the current demand. We have about installed 22 gigawatts or so. And
all this is coming from where?
In Malaysia?
In Malaysia. I mean, it's primarily from TMB as well as the IPPs. So the generation part by these two. So IPPs are basically independent power producers who have power plants, and they supply it to TMB.
And what is the source of the energy?
It's a mixture, all the way from renewable energy to coal to gas. So
what is the majority energy producer? Is it from renewable or is it from coal?
Definitely coal and gas. They probably consist about 90% or more. Renewable energy is just a fraction. So that's a fact that we are currently facing in. Fossil fuel power plants are still a lot more cheaper compared to renewable energy. The technology for renewable energy is still on the high end.
If you put it in percentage, how much of it is by renewable energy right now?
Less than 4%, or 4% to about 8% at max.
And the rest, 90-something% are from coal?
That are fossil fuels.
Fossil fuel.
Gas and coal.
Gas and coal. In 2014, will the percentage change?
Definitely, you'll see a lot more on renewable energy. You probably could reach about 10% plus, but that's an expectation. It will still be driven by fossil fuel sources.
And you say you want to share an interesting statistic about the energy demand.
Actually, I mean, all of us are facing the heat right now. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's been a very hot month. And TMB last month actually recorded that we have finally hit the 17.175 gigawatt. That's the highest ever recorded maximum demand that we have reached in Malaysia. That was recorded last month itself. And obviously, this is due to people turning on their aircons at full blast. I'm pretty sure that. So I think that would be where Reneon Technologies come in. We want to educate and create awareness to our end users of how is it that you're utilizing your energy consumption, and which of the areas that you could look into reducing your electricity usage.
I just wondering if Reneon Technologies would love to give some case study examples from your side.
Sure, definitely. I mean, one thing that we always mention to end users is that before you take actions, you need data to back up whatever actions you're taking. A very good, interesting case study that we had was we actually installed a cloud-based monitoring system for an F&B outlet, a cafe. Now, these cafes are run by baristas and admin staff. They don't have technical knowledge about how much is kilowatt hours or how does this relate to CO2 emissions. What we did was we installed a monitoring system at their aircon consumption supply as well as their lighting consumption supply. For a week, we left it there to get their load profile. When was the highest? When was the lowest? How are they operating their energy consumption? Once the week was over, we educated the staff over there about how is it they're utilizing your energy consumption. Interestingly, for that particular building, they had like 6 split unit aircons, and they were turning it on despite the fact there was no one in the cafe.
I see.
So we told them, why don't you cycle the number of aircons you turn on at one particular point of time, and also increase the temperature to a more ideal 24 to 26 degrees, depending on how many visitors or patrons you have in the cafe. Just by doing that, they were able to reduce their energy consumption for aircon usage per day by about 20-30%. So it's zero cost measures in terms of you do not need to change your equipment, you do not have to do a lot of steps, but based on the data that we have recorded through our cloud-based energy monitoring platform, you're able to take simple steps towards reducing your consumption.
I have a question. How long does it take for you to actually conduct this research and then to be able to tell them how much you should reduce and stuff?
Right. That's one of the more primary questions that we have gotten from end users, and this is something that I do want to highlight to the listeners. Now, power monitoring monitoring is not a one-time thing, because your operation changes, the amount of appliances you have in a building changes, the environment changes. Environmental factor can affect your electricity usage. Higher temperature outside, you turn on more aircon. So the point of a monitoring system is that you'll be able to identify some of the wastages that is occurring continuously and take steps towards reducing your consumption. There's a misconception that, you know what, I have very high energy usage in my home, in my office, I'm going to change everything to LED lights. That's going to save me money for sure. But what if your lighting consumption is just 10% or less than that of your overall usage? You're just spending money for something that wouldn't have a huge impact on your energy usage. That's the point of having a monitoring system, to continuously monitor, create awareness, and alert you of wastages happening. In general, most buildings or most operations would have about 5 to 10% of wastages due to inefficient behavior, as well as appliances that require maintenance. This can be identified through our real-time monitoring system.
I see. Another thing, do you only focus on office building, or do you also go for residential buildings?
Right. What's interesting about us is that when we first started out, we were concentrating on commercial buildings. So we talk about office buildings, F&B outlets. But right now, we have expanded beyond that scope, and we've been looking at schools, higher education institutions. We have done projects for our own police station.
Oh, wow.
That's an interesting project indeed. And we have even done it for a couple of high-end condominiums as well. So we do look at different verticals, all the way from factories. We have even done factory projects to commercial buildings, as well as residential houses.
And besides giving services, consultancy services, you also provide solution. So what sort of solution that you provide exactly?
Right. So our primary solution will still be our cloud-based monitoring system. So how this works is that from the start, we'll probably tie up the end users to a subscription-based models. So they could use our full scope of our products, both the hardware sensors as well as our platform.
So you do have hardware as well?
Yes, definitely. The hardware sensors are probably power meters, as well as right now we are even expanding to water, ultrasonic flow meters to monitor water consumptions.
I think water will be a great start as well.
Yes, exactly. That's the next thing that we're actually looking into.
Nowadays, I think there are talks about we will face a looming water crisis in the future if we don't conserve the water.
Yes, this is due to the heat, the temperature that is actually very high, and the dams are drying out right now. So definitely conserving water will be the next factor. So as I mentioned, we provide them the end-to-end solution, hardware and software for a subscription model, and throughout the period of time, we also provide them with suggestions that they can look into and take towards reducing their consumption.
Culturally, do you think Malaysia is still very much not adapting to green technology?
Well, if you were to ask me about 10 years back, I would say yes, we are not adapting, primarily because we still have one of the cheapest electricity tariffs in Southeast Asia, if not the world. But these days, with the increasing of the electricity prices, as well as a few other more appliances being applied, people or end users are definitely looking into energy conservation and green technology. I mean, energy monitoring is just one of them. There are a lot of other products and solutions out there that can help you to manage your energy consumption usage.
Anyway, what's your future plan, your next step? Now you have transformed from just providing services to providing a cloud service plus some hardware for monitoring system. In the future, in the next 5 years, how do you see yourself?
We foresee Reneon Technology to be a truly solution provider. I mean, a green technology, I think, comes hand in hand with smart cities, the future of the cities, and we want to provide solutions that not just can monitor electricity usage. Right now we're already expanding to water monitoring. In the future we're talking about control-based systems, as well as we might be looking into other kind of technology to integrate into our platform. The backbones are all there. It's just about integrating different solutions to create a holistic platform that will enable and empower end users towards managing their energy consumption.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I hope if the listeners would like to know more, you could check it out at reneontech.com and like us on our Facebook page, Reneon Technologies.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.